Please read the disclaimer. Hello, beautiful people. Shalom, moneymakers. So it is Christmas Eve tonight. Crypto market, XRP, not doing so great. We'll talk about what Trump just said about the US economy, what economical data just came out. Even though we're seeing the stock market at all-time highs and precious metals at all-time highs, the crypto market continues to lag behind. Why is this happening, and will it get out of the funk? All I ask from you is that you give me a beautiful smile to send out those good vibes. Smishity smash that like button and let's get into it. Merry Christmas, by the way. Happy New Year's to everybody that's celebrating tonight. I think it's tonight, right? Hopefully Santa sends you some presents that you were waiting for. I don't have a chimney, so Santa is probably not going to come and visit me unless he's going to come through the door. But he comes through the chimney, right? I don't have one, so. Currently, XRP is sitting at $1.85, down minus 0.89% on the day. The crypto market sold off a little bit last night. As you can see, Bitcoin at 87,000, Sol at 121, Ethereum under 3,000 again. If we're looking at the 4-hour chart, you can see we're at the bottom of the stochastic RSI here, both for XRP, Bitcoin, and all the rest. Similar action that is going on here. The total crypto market is down 0.5%. Just at the 4-hour chart, you can see it's very much so on it's hugging the bottom of the stochastic RSI we'll get to this and, of course, make sure to watch all the way to the end of the video. Very important. But there's kind of a theory on what's going on right now, and how it's not that people are bearish. They're just kind of disappointed or uninterested. It's not that people are, they don't want crypto anymore. They're just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Burned out a little bit. I think that's what's going on right now. And so we'll talk about that in just a second. I wanted to reference what the data came out yesterday. US GDP came in at 4.3%. Expectations was 3.3%. This is a massive growth in US economy, which is a good sign. This continued growth means ISM will grow and enter the expansion phase, which has historically been bullish for crypto. The last two major out seasons, 2017 and 2021, started when ISM was above 55. Now, if you look at the chart, the last three GDP readings resulted in a 4 to 5% short-term correction in Bitcoin, but is always pumped back higher. In the mid and long term, the growing US economy means less risk of recession, which is bullish for all markets. We have to take into consideration just one thing, that the Supreme Court could cancel the tariffs, and then that could create a situation where markets might sell off. Crypto, I don't know how much more it could sell off. Stock market hit a new all-time high last night, so potentially that market could sell off. There is a probability on that. I know if you've been watching the channel for a long time, I am a big believer in diversification. And so yes, my crypto portfolio now is not doing the best, although if I go back to a year and a half ago, it's better, because XRP is done very good. Bitcoin is done better. Alts, not so much, right? But my stock portfolio, very good, right? So it's about the yin and the yang. It's about diversification. Again, this is just what I am doing. This is just my opinion. Of course, this video is for educational purpose, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Very important, okay? And so this is how it's going to be in life. You're going to have one time, this is going to be up, that's going to be up, that's going to be down. That's just how it is. And we're seeing, well, I'll talk about that in just a second. But I wanted to talk about the current situation. US GDP growth is at its strongest pace since 2023. CPI inflation unexpectedly fell to 2.7 last month. Trump is appointing a new Fed chair who will cut rates. Oil prices are down to lowest since 2021. People are talking about how gas prices are low and people are driving around, having fun. So that also could be why, unless it's very cold, why people are less interested in crypto. Of course, holidays and all that. It's not surprising. I know the week before a holiday, Thanksgiving, Christmas, 4th of July, a lot less interest in markets. Equity ETFs have attracted a record 1.4 trillion in 2025. Magnificent 7 AI investment now above 600 billion a year and massive momentum, right? But you look at what President Trump just said, before we get to that, he has a crypto dream team here right now. Okay. White House crypto czar David Sachs says the US finally has leadership to unlock crypto future. Sachs calls CFTC chair Michael Selig and SEC chair Paul Atkins regulatory dream team for digital assets as Congress moves closer to passing landmark market structure legislation. Clear rules, aligned regulations, and political will, the era of crypto clarity in America may have officially begun. So you see all these things, and again, you're looking at the price action, and price action is a dud right now. It's not great, it's terrible, right? But then you look 6 months into the future, 1 year into the future, and it seems bright. And yes, many people were wrong about the price action, but again, what I'm looking at this and I'm looking at long-term investments and I'm looking what has happened in the past with assets that many people said, oh, just for example, Tesla. People were like, oh, it's this, it's that, it's terrible, it's not going to, ever go up. They're losing money, yada, yada, yada. And look where it is now, right? So I'm not saying that crypto is Tesla, but many times what happens is when it looks the darkest and people are the lowest on the asset, that's usually it might take again 6 months, a year for it to recover significantly. But long term, there's still a lot of good things that are happening in the crypto market. And maybe in the past, crypto was traded on the potential of what could be. And now we're at the could be, and now we're looking at the growth. Okay, so the speculation was, oh, in the future, crypto will be adopted by government, right? And things like that. Well, now it's being adopted by government. The next step is being adopted by the people and being actually used and actually, things that people have been talking about for years actually start happening in a large scale. And so when that happens, we move to, you could call it phase 3, right? So that's going to be very interesting. President Trump just said the following: strong economic data is no longer bullish because markets immediately price in Fed tightening. The market fears policy response more than it rewards growth. Good news now caps upside instead of extending rallies. Rate hikes are treated as the default reaction to strength. This regime suppresses momentum and shortens market cycles. Growth is happening, but markets hesitate to price it in. So basically, he's talking about this situation and how also the Supreme Court could rock the boat a little bit. And even though there's very good news, the fear of something flipping has the markets in fear. In his theory, the stock market should be a lot higher right now. Crypto should be a lot higher. But it's not happening because of a lot of factors. So again, this is interesting coming from the president of the United States. Of course, he wants the stock markets to go up. The president doesn't want the markets to go down. That's not a good look for the president. But it will be very interesting to see. There's still a few more days to the year. But we're going to wash our hands of 2025 and move into a new day of 2026. It will be very interesting to see how it goes. And this is an interesting theory on why the market is kind of stuck. This is from Anthony Scaramucci here. Says this is why Bitcoin can't hold a bounce. He says that it has to do with a lot of how a lot of people feel. Every time Bitcoin or crypto or XRP starts to move higher, it gets slammed back down. He said it's not about the charts, it's about psychology. This market has shifted from confidence to caution. In bear markets, every bounce feels like a relief, not opportunity. Traders promise themselves to act later, hesitate, and then watch price roll over again. That cycle has been repeating for months, also pointing to October flash crash as real damage to retail confidence and liquidity. Retail is still the momentum engine for crypto, and that engine hasn't fully recovered. Without new money, the market stays choppy. Big holders sell calls for income. Volatility compresses. It works until a catalyst hits. That's usually when markets move fast and in the direction most people aren't positioned for. This isn't a broken market, it's an exhausted one. And again, that's what I said. I think a lot of people are exhausted. A lot of people are with their, tongues out. And it makes sense. We've been in a 2-month downtrend here since October 10th. Even before, you could mark it till July. So it's basically a 6 months downtrend here for XRP, for the crypto market. Similarly, by the way, outside of the few good weeks that we had in November, December, for the most part, we have been consolidating sideways or coming up and then pulling back down, coming up and then pulling back down. That's the action that we've seen here for XRP over the past year. And you have to remember, XRP went very, very fast from 50 cents all the way up to $3+ and in a non, you could call it bull market. It was factored on news, right? All the run up happened on news. It wasn't that the market was in a bull market and things were coming, in a fast pace and money was flowing in and everything was going up because of money coming in, right? No, it was because of a news. Trump won the election. Optimism was high. Optimism was high for crypto. Optimism was high for XRP that the SEC would finish the case and Trump would bring in new and bullish people. And that's what's happened. So you could say that maybe right now the price reflects more the growth of where we were a year plus, right? When the XRP was at 50 cents, it's still up almost 4x since then, like a little bit less because, it's at 186 right now. If it was at 2, it would be 4x, in a year. 4x in a year is not too shabby, right? But of course, a lot of people in the crypto market keeps referencing these videos from people that are talking about, triple digits and 4 digits for XRP, by the end of the year and things like that. And I understand why now they're with their tongue out and they're exhausted and they don't want to watch any videos anymore, mine or others, because they see those videos and this is what happens every single time. And that's why I'm trying to be better. In the beginning, I did stuff like that, when I started out on YouTube, because I saw people that were doing that, getting hundreds of thousands of views. And, I'm trying to be, straight and things like that. And people aren't interested in that. They're interested in the flashy stuff. And I've learned over time and I've stuck to my principles and changed things and learned, similar to how like I don't promote any tokens, although I don't know if there's any tokens that are right now in this market. But I've never promoted a token and things like that. So I hope, there's things that you appreciate and help and make you, continue to come back to the channel. It's not an easy time right now, just in the content or XRP content creator space. There's like a few channels that are kind of getting traction, but outside of that, not really to what we've seen before. So I really appreciate all of you that are continuing to come back. And, the situation with YouTube and all that shenanigans, have like a month still on the like on probation thing. So we'll see what happens after that. People are saying that some people are not seeing the videos. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see how it goes out. And listen, I saw this and XRP surpasses 4 billion transactions. Ripple CTO says, don't judge XRP by price, pointing to XRP's 4 billion transaction as proof of real adoption driven by fast, low fee settlements. Again, a lot of XRP and where XRP is on the potential of what could happen. But what happens is many people factor XRP to its price, and that's just how it is, right? But is there something different with XRP and XRP's future right now when it's $1.85 to when it was at $3 and what was the high here, 370? No, nothing has really changed. Actually, we've added more things, XRP ETFs. Ripple has strengthened their base, acquired more things, potential for more partnerships. Things have just got better, right? They got the banking license. So a lot more traffic on XRPL here is potentially going to happen. So many people, they look at the price action as the validity and yeah, and the long-term outlook for an asset, but it has nothing to do with that. Price action is just if there's more buyers than sellers, price goes up. If there's more sellers than buyers, price goes down. It's kind of easy, right? But when I look at that, and I've made this statement many times before, I really don't care if XRP is at $1.85 or XRP is at $3 or XRP is at $2 or $10. Right? It looks better on my, the portfolio number, right? But if you're not intending to part ways with XRP, then it doesn't really matter, right? I've learned this, I've seen all-time highs in my portfolio. I've seen all-time lows in my portfolio, and it comes and goes. It goes. And so I don't get too excited when I hit all-time high, and I don't get too depressed when I hit all-time lows, because I've experienced all of these already. And I know that it's a cycle and it changes. And if I'm not, my wife famously, I've told this story a few times. One day there was an asset that I did really good on, and I was like, "Hey, honey, look at this beautiful, number." And she asked me, "Well, can I use it? Can I go and buy stuff with it?" And I was like, "No, honey, it goes back into the investments." And she was like, "Okay, so don't tell me about this. Don't mess with my head. If it's if it's not something that actually you're selling and you're moving it into a different column in our finances, so don't bother me with this, right?" And she was right, and that's why I psychologically decided not to bother myself with it, right? Of course, you need to have enough money to go with your daily lives. But again, if you are long-term investing, then the numbers itself, and by the way, this is a problem that people even the age of 70 plus have. This is a conversation I have with my dad a lot, right? For example, right now the shekel to dollar is very, very low, meaning the shekel is very high, the dollar is weak. And that's not good for me because I live in shekels, but YouTube and all that, all the money comes in dollars. Um, and my portfolios are in dollars, but I live in shekels. On the flip side, right? Going abroad right now is cheap, and online shopping now is cheap, right? Because the shekel is strong. But he says to me, "Well, the shekel moves, and then my portfolio." I said, "Dad, but you're not selling and moving it into shekels. It doesn't matter the the transaction rate right now." So there's things like that psychologically it affects you, but long term, right? It doesn't really matter that much. In the moment, it's stressful, but long term, you have to remember that if you're investing long term, then it's not that important. Again, short term swing trades. If you're day trading, if you're swing trading, of course, it's very, very important. But long term, the numbers on the portfolio at that moment in time don't really matter that much if you have a long term thesis on the asset. And again, I don't know what XRP is going to do. I don't know what the crypto market is going to do. I'm long on the crypto market, but right now, short term, nobody knows what's going to happen. Okay. Again, reminding you that this video is for educational purposes, for entertainment purposes only, not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence before you decide to invest. Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays. Enjoy your Christmas Eve with the fams. Don't eat too much. And have fun. And thank you for watching. Don't forget to smash the like button, drop a comment, 8 for infinity and beyond. Merry Christmas. And I'll see you next time.